welcome to Box, a Formula One podcast. I am Daytona International Speedway, Shannon Hayes.
I am the MotoGP tire supplier, the Michelin Man, Sam Cockcroft.
And I'm Perez's first sip of Red Bull, Meryl Huseman.
Today on Box, we are thinking a bit outside the box, and we're going to be focusing on other motorsports today, other than F1. But before we jump into some of those topics, we're going to talk about the news this week. So,
yeah.
Why don't we kick it off with, what do we got up first?
Jenson Button at Williams.
Jenson, making a return to F1 since 2017 when he left, and is now going to be a senior advisor to Williams, which is a pretty vague role.
Yeah, it is. But he has experience with Williams, so, I mean, he has experience as a driver. Does he have experience doing anything else?
I don't think so. I mean, his experience as a driver was his rookie season in 2000, so that was a full 20 years ago. So, not that much, but I think it'll be nice to have someone besides just, like, the new owners of Doralton Capital, because I don't know, how much do they know about
a fresh face. Also, I read some stuff that Jenson was saying that the new owners weren't opposed to taking risks, and I feel like that's so different to what Williams has been in the past like few years, is that they've just been, just chugging along instead of actually getting stuff done.
Very, very conservative, just trying to stay afloat, then try anything new. And
just trying to stay there. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's good, because there's really nowhere to go but up. So.
Yeah. It's true. And I think that's why it's cool that they're taking, like, all these steps. And I think it'll be really cool good to see the team in hands of other people now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think from what I've read and from what I've, like, understood about what his role is supposed to be, I think he's working primarily with their, like, young drivers program.
Oh, okay.
I want to say.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so he's, like, he does have, like, specific roles. Like, I kind of, when you hear things like a senior advisor, it kind of feels like a fake position.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, him looking for something else. But I'm glad that he's going to be back in F1, because he took a couple of years to do other stuff that was just a little bit less interesting.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what has he been doing over the past several years?
Oh, he was racing in other types of, like, motorsport. So I think he did a little bit with, like, Super GT, and I think I can't remember what he was doing that I remember seeing last year. He did, I can't remember. He's been doing just, like, a bunch of, like, little things here and there, like, hasn't really committed to anything, and I think is mostly, like, retired from racing.
Well, this is a cool rebirth of the career, I guess. Certainly.
Yeah.
I feel like once you're in F1, you just never leave. Like, everyone just comes back, or they just stay on as, like, advisors, or they're just like a person on Twitter that, like, doesn't shut up.
I mean, that's kind of what you have to do, because, like, what else?
You're like, knowledgeable about one thing, and, like, there's nowhere else really to go. Or you just, like, jump to MotoGP or something.
Yeah. I think, like, it's just true of, like, most sports that, like, once you retire from being an athlete, which is what you do, around, like, 30s-ish, it's kind of because you retire pretty early in sports. And then you, like, either work in, like, like, journalism or commentator or whatever.
Yeah.
But hopefully we get to see more of him actually on the track and not just in the background.
Well, another thing that happened that was kind of announced this week, wasn't it? That Red Bull is keeping the Honda engine until 2022, or the contract was extended. And then, because in 2022 the thingy is going to be, the law or whatever, the rule change is going to be passed, right?
Who knows?
Because what I was reading also is that they're not even sure if it will happen in 22 or if it's going to happen in 25. So that's why they've been, like, so on the fence about Honda, is because if if they're going to keep the same motor after 22, it'll be fine. But if they need to, like, adapt their motors after then, they don't think Honda can keep up. Like, that's kind of what they were saying, right?
I don't know if that's how I understood it.
Do you know who they would switch to instead?
Their best option, I think, was Renault, but they don't want to go back to that because of things.
Wait,
Walk
so
of
what
shame,
did you...
kind of.
Wait, so what did you understand?
What I heard was that they're planning on keeping the Honda engine without factory support, so any of the, like, minor changes that they make are, like, them doing it. So Honda's completely out of the picture. It's just their engine that they're using, and that's only if the FIA decides to do the engine freeze in 2022.
Right.
Which I
Okay.
I don't really know if they're going to want to do that, or, like, if a lot of teams are going to want to do that. I think that's something they're going to announce a lot further down the line, because when I was talking to my dad about it, he was saying that the reason that they would do that would be to save money and have the team save money, because they're not making as much money because they don't have fans. So I think it kind of depends on how this season plays out. Like, if we're allowed to have fans in the, like, later part of the season, then it would probably be less necessary. But if it's, like, a whole nother season without fans, they're probably going to need the money. So
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. That makes more sense, yeah.
But I don't know what Red Bull would do if they decide not to do the freeze, because then they just, like, they need to find a new engine supplier. They have no option.
They would have to basically go to Renault, I feel like.
Yeah. Or, like try and figure out something on their own, like, similar to what their original plan was, but, like, trying to get Red Bull to actually, like,
fully develop.
Yeah.
That would be wild. I mean, that'd be cool too, though, but
yeah.
I don't know if they could do it.
That would be cool. I feel like that would also save costs for them, doing it in-house. I mean, it's a big upfront to start that program, but once they're there...
That's true.
You know, doing it in-house, that sort of streamlines everything for them.
Yes, but also, like, they're not, like, it's Red Bull. They're a drink company. That's why they're doing this, is because they want to promote their drink. They don't, like, it's not really about the car and the, like, racing as much as it is for other teams that have cars and are car manufacturers. So it is also a possibility that they could just, I don't think they would because they're doing well, but they could just decide to, like, abandon F1 completely.
Yo, but imagine if they just decided to become a car manufacturer. Rolling up in my Red Bull.
I would buy a Red Bull car for sure.
The logo is just like a tiny Red Bull at the front. Like, instead of the Mercedes, it's like Red Bull.
Yeah, I like, you know how some of the cars have that little thing that sticks up? It's just like a can sticking up out of the car.
Yeah. Yo, I've got the Max Verstappen limited edition Red Bull.
Honestly, I'm on board. Be a great strategy for them.
Yeah, it would.
I would definitely get the Sergio Perez one. Speaking of which, he started his first week at Red Bull.
Yeah.
He looked really cute in his picture with Christian Horner.
Yep, like a 10th grader meeting his new teacher. So cute.
Yeah. It was really cute. I think it was the stance. It was very arms forward, just like
I think
about to go on a job interview.
Yeah. I think also because the mask, you can't see, like, the expression, and his eyes are always like, he always looks, like, not shy, but he just looks like he's, like, pensive always.
It was a very cute photo.
I'm so happy for him.
Me too.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Albon, but, you know, Perez just deserves it more.
Yeah, I hope that Alex can prove himself a little bit more in the future, and that this was not it.
Yeah.
But I totally obviously understand why Red Bull made the choice. It was the right choice. But
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There's been, like, a couple interviews and stuff that they've released with, like, you know, Sergio Perez's first interview as a Red Bull driver. Everything seems to be going pretty well, which is good for him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what could be going wrong right at this point. We'll see. We'll see once he actually gets in the car and, like, test drives it.
Yeah. Basically all of the articles that, like, talk about, I think it was not even a quote from Max himself, but it was his dad talking about Max is racing and saying that he's like super excited to destroy Sergio Perez and as his new teammate this year, and that they're going to be very competitive. And I just think it's really funny that that's the news that's come up about their relationship so far. I don't know if it's going to be as one of those like buddy relationships that we had with Carlando. But we'll make for some exciting racing, hopefully.
Definitely. Yeah, well, Perez will at least get the chance to actually be near podium and not have to, like, fight for it the whole time.
Yeah.
That's true. We can finally see some, like, Perez P1s a bit more often. Hopefully, we'll see another one.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And I think also, like, I've said this before, just having 4 drivers now competing for, you know, P1 and, like, the championship, as opposed to last year when it was, like, kind of 3, but also just always 1 because of Lewis. Which, you know, speaking of, still no contract updates. But
yeah, that's weird that he still hasn't let us know anything.
he posted something on his Instagram of, like, him cross-country skiing, like, up a mountain, and I'm like,
yeah,
where's the contract, though?
Skiing? Yeah, like... no, everyone's skiing. Like, everyone's up north, like, Valtteri and Kimi. Did you guys see that one with Kimi with his tiny, skinny skis? Because he's doing the cross-country skiing, too. Like, they're all skiing now.
Not Pierre. Pierre is doing some sand snowboarding. I love that video.
Yeah, me too.
It's like such a small hill. It ends instantly. He goes down it for like 3 seconds and
the way he like starts the video, he's like, it looks like he's about to do some sick trick. Like he like fist bumps a camera or some shit, and then he jumps on his what are those skin boards or something? He jumps on his skin board, goes down the tiny hill, and it looks like he's gonna go fast because you can't really tell that it's tiny. And then he goes down, and then he just stops within, like, 2 meters.
You, like, right so when you think it's about to get interesting, it's over.
Yeah, it's over. And then he's like, yeah, sick trick.
I just love how he was not even strapped into the board. Like, that should have been an indicator from the beginning.
Yeah, you're right.
But I wasn't paying attention. I was excited.
Me too. Anyway, in more actual news, though, Ferrari is going to start testing next week. Right? Next week? Yeah. And Mick and Sainz are the 2 big names that are going to be testing the 2018 Ferrari, I think.
Yes? I can't remember.
I think it's the 2018 Ferrari that they're just going to get a feel for, like, for Mick, it's because Haas is using the same engine, right? And for Sainz, I think it's the same, that they just want him to get used to, like, Ferrari mechanics and stuff like that.
I mean, I think also, you know, Mick is going to be a Ferrari driver at some point in the near future.
Eventually.
So, even though he's racing for Haas now, you got to give him a chance at trying out the car. Yeah, and wait, so there's also the first female racer in the Ferrari Driver Academy. That's exciting. Maya
something.
Maya Wogue? I don't know how to say her last name.
If it's Voig? German, Voig?
Yeah,
I think it said she's Belgian and Spanish
Dutch
or something.
Oh, no, she was born in Spain. I think her dad is Dutch and her mom is Belgian. So, but I've never seen that. Vogue?
Voig? I don't know. Anyway, but Maya.
Yeah, Maya. That's sick, though. Finally.
Yeah, she's 16. Time. She's real cool. Yeah. Real trailblazer. We love her.
And she's so young, too, isn't she? I mean, I guess all the drivers in the Driver Academy are always young. But it's just
because
shocking.
Her competition was, like, 14 to 18. So, like, there's even 14-year-olds out there. Isn't that crazy?
Just making me feel, like, old, I guess? I don't know. I just feel like I should be doing more with my life.
What am I doing here? Sitting here making a podcast about 16-year-olds.
About people way cooler than I am.
Exactly. I don't know if this is maybe just me being stupid and selfish, but when I'm talking about F1, it's like, okay, because like they're guys and I know that I couldn't do that because of sexism and things like that. But when you talk about W Series, I'm like, well, see, that could be me, and it just makes me feel a little bit more sad.
Even more sad than knowing that you won't be able to drive F1 is knowing that you won't be able to even drive W Series.
Yeah, exactly.
So give us the scoop on W Series.
Well, okay. So, I mean, there's only been one season, so there's not a lot that we can, like, discuss, but I'm gonna go, like, I'll just cover kind of, what it is and stuff.
Did they have a season
it's
last
pretty
season?
Cool. No, so they didn't have a season in 2020. It got canceled because of COVID. And this season, there will be a season, and they're gonna be F1 support races basically. And there's in 2019 there was only 6 races, but this year there's gonna be 8, which will be pretty cool. And like the biggest one out of all the ones that they're doing is probably Silverstone. They're also going to be in Austin, though. They're going to the USA GP. So that'll be fun.
So exciting.
God, I hope we can go to that one.
Yeah. Guys, I think it's going to be so cool.
Like, just road trip to Texas real quick.
Yeah. I think it's going to be so cool having them, like, back-to-back with F1 races, because I think it's going to give them some notoriety and, like, at least put it, like, face to W Series, since they've only had one, like, actual season. But, so how it works, and it's actually really interesting, because there's 18 drivers and then 2 reserves, and they're not by team, like, they're just individual drivers, and they go through qualification, like, basically they started off in 2019, because, like, that's kind of what I'm basing this off, because, like, obviously that's the only season they've had. There was 48 drivers that basically went into testing, and they did all these driving tests and stuff, and, like, had to do high-risk stuff to see, like, which driver was the strongest and who was the best driver. And then out of the 48, they picked 18 drivers who would go on to the actual W Series, where they raced 6 races. So, like, it basically has nothing to do with sponsorship.
Sounds way more competitive just to even get in.
Yeah, because it has nothing to do with sponsorship. They all race the exact same car, which is an F3 type car. It's the Alfa Romeo F3 car. And they all race the same. They, like, even switch cars to make sure that every race, everyone's, like, racing exactly the same.
That's awesome, though.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that that's how it, like, it's based, like, solely on skill.
It's only on skill. And, so it's like there's no backers. There's no funding from the team. The drivers don't have to pay to be there. They just have to be a really skilled driver. The point system is a bit different. It's instead of, like, the F1 25-18, it's 15, 12, 10, 7, 5, 3, 2, 1. So they score way less, and there's way less races. But I mean, eventually, hopefully, that'll change. And then there's a total prize fund of 1.5 million, and the champion receives 500,000, and the remaining 1 million is split amongst all other drivers. So no matter what you get,
that's
you
great.
earn some. Yeah.
I like
that's pretty sick.
So, and then the reason why they started it was, I mean, we obviously know why it started is because there hasn't been a female driver since, like, 40 years ago. And then, I mean, oh yeah, this was a crazy fact. Because, I mean, there have been, like, 1 or 2 female drivers, but I think only one has actually raced and started a GP.
In F1?
But,
or...
yeah, in F1 for
I didn't even know that there have been any.
Yeah.
Nice.
In the 70-year history of F1, more than 1,000 GPs have been raced, and 900 drivers have raced in them. Only 2 drivers were female, were women.
Wow.
a few more. Oh, so two have actually driven, and there were a few more women, but they just haven't competed in GPs, so they were either like reserve drivers or something. But the last of which was in the last woman who has driven in F1 was in 1976. So doesn't really count.
How were we doing better in 1976 with having a woman driver than we are in 2021?
Yeah, it's a little sad.
Yeah, it's very sad. But yeah, so that's like basically the main reason why W Series started, is to give women an equal opportunity to get experience in a car that is like, because even in F3, I think Jamie Chadwick is one of the few who is like raced in F3 as a woman and has like made podium and stuff. And Jamie Chadwick actually also was the 2019 champion. But yeah, and I think there is starting to be some change in the like face of F1 being like that Jamie Chadwick is also test driver for Williams. I feel like Williams is the only team here that is really like kind of stepping up, being like, Claire Williams isn't the team principal anymore, but at least they had a female team principal.
Yeah, they did have Claire Williams. That's that's something.
W Series has had some backlash because a lot of people are saying that having a separate series for women just causes more segregation, and that it's not it just proves the point of F1, where you like basically is saying that because there's now a separate one for women, like why should anyone even try to go into F1? And I really don't understand or agree with that argument, because I feel like the whole point of W Series is not like, setting aside that it's so different by the fact that they're all driving the same car and like it has nothing to do with, it's all set on skill. Like aside from that, it just gives them experience. Like what's bad with that?
Yeah. I do see the issue though, because it does sort of confirm the idea that like F1 is the male version, and then like, because we have a separate one for women now, so that means the F1 is for the guys or something stupid. Like I don't agree with that mentality, but I can see how people would think that, you know?
Yeah, no, I also understand where it's coming from. But
I feel like I would see like W Series as like an F2 or an F3 or like any of those other like sub-series. And F1 is still the top. Like I think in an ideal world, you'd have like all of these feeder series like F2 and F3, but you'd have feeder series with women and feeder series with men, and then F1 is like everybody gets to compete against each other. And I feel like that would be really cool.
Yeah, and it's just hard because, like, the fact that they even had to start a W Series, I think, has a big thing to say, is that, like, they shouldn't need to. And I think it's a step in the right direction of giving women a platform to be like, this is what I can do. I came here on pure skill. Like, and that kind of brings me to one last point, and it doesn't really have to do a lot with the W Series, but one of the drivers from the 2019 season, and she's driving this year too, her name is, she's Finnish, I think, Kimi Lainen. I'm not sure what her...
Kimi Räikkönen?
Kimi Räikkönen.
No, it's Kimi Lainen.
It's just Kimi in a wig.
But I think her first name is, because that's her last surname. I don't know why I didn't look up her first name, but she, in 2010, she was participating in IndyCar racing, but she said that she was on this podcast. It was a Finnish podcast, so I couldn't actually listen to the episode, but I read an article on it. And she was talking about sexism in her career. And when she joined IndyCar, they said she wouldn't need sponsors because they had something lined up, like sponsors lined up for her. And then when she got there, it became clear that her sponsors was a high-end men's magazine, and they demanded Kimi Lainen to pose naked pictures in her car. Like, this was coming from the people,
God.
from IndyCar racing.
Yo, like, that's the other thing is, like, sometimes I see articles and stuff that kind of claim that, like, IndyCar and NASCAR are less sexist than Formula One because at least they do technically have more women in the sport.
But then you hear
like,
something like this.
But, like, even then, like, when you're, Danica Patrick was sexualized to hell and back. Like, it's so crazy how much women have to, like, just sell out their bodies, basically, to even exist in male-dominated motorsports.
Yeah. And then she quit, obviously, because she was like, hell no. And then she, obviously because of that, she didn't have any sponsors because she was told not to bring sponsors. So
you could have told her what the sponsor was.
I know. It's fine. She's racing W Series now.
I feel like W Series, it kind of feels like an extra step that women have to go through in order to get into, like, F3 and F2.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I feel like most drivers, I think, start out karting, and then you do really well in that, and then you'll end up, hopefully, in, like, F3 or F2, and, like, slowly work your way up. But now I feel like if women are trying to do the exact same thing, they have to do W Series first, and then go through all these other steps, and it's just kind of unfair that, like, they have so many more hurdles to go through, and just, like, in terms of...
I was also reading about that because a lot of people were also saying, well, like, just start funding women's karting more and stuff like that, because they were saying, like, the way that men are getting into F1 is by, like, getting sponsors through karting and then moving their way up. But a lot of what these women were saying, that the ones that are racing for a W Series right now they're like, because there's no track record of women doing well in karting and then getting sponsors and then moving their way up, no sponsor wants to do that. It's like, it's wild.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, it's true,
it's
though.
It's a snake eating its
no...
own tail. Like, they can't get sponsors because women have never had sponsors before. So it just...
Yeah. But that's W Series for you.
I hope this figures itself out soon so we can see some women in F1.
Well, you know what they say. There's only one race. The human race. What about NASCAR? That's right, ladies and gents. We're transitioning into the NASCAR zone. And we've got some big news from the past 2 weeks. Dale, Mr. Worldwide Pitbull, is the proud new owner of a NASCAR team. He announced it, I think 2 weeks ago now, week and a half ago. He announced it on his birthday.
Oh.
His 40th birthday.
What a Mr. Worldwide move. What a move.
I also want to just say Mr. Worldwide is a Capricorn, so we claim him. Thank you, Pitbull. Mr. 305. Yeah, so last week he announced he's going to become co-owner of the NASCAR team Trackhouse Racing. And he just, like, released a fun little video for it where he's just kind of singing a little song and everyone's going, I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. It's real hype. It's a great video. Imagine, like, you know how sometimes you get a little birthday gift for yourself? Like, you just buy yourself something nice to treat yourself. A whole NASCAR team.
Wow.
That really... Wow. I don't know if you could top that. But in his Twitter, so in his tweet where he announced that he was the proud new owner of Trackhouse Racing, he specifically stated, I've been interested in NASCAR ever since I saw that Tom Cruise movie, Days of Thunder.
No!
So we know he's a big fan.
Big fan.
Big fan. But that's mostly it for Pitbull. But he joins another American celebrity who recently purchased a NASCAR team for this year. Do you know who the other celebrity is?
No.
Michael Jordan.
No.
MJ. So let me tell you about this because it's pretty freaking cool. So he and Denny
when
Hamlin.
was this?
Yeah.
So he announced it in September.
Oh.
He and
I did
Denny
hear
Hamlin.
this.
So let me talk about it.
Yeah,
He and
yeah.
Denny Hamlin. If you don't know Denny Hamlin, he is like probably one of the best NASCAR drivers right now. If you don't watch NASCAR, you've definitely seen him in like a fast food commercial. I think he did like Denny's or something at at the restaurant Denny's, and then I think he did a commercial for like Domino's or something too. I don't know, he's an all-American boy, and he's gonna promote his fast food. Yeehaw. So he teamed up with Denny Hamlin, and they went in together, and they decided to make a new NASCAR team, and this is exciting. Their driver that they have is Bubba Wallace. So it's
yay,
Denny
Bubba.
Hamlin, Michael Jordan, and
Guys,
Bubba Wallace. Isn't that sick?
I don't know who that is.
Oh my god, okay, no, you definitely do. So Bubba Wallace was the driver who was very vocal during the BLM protests over the summer because he's like the one black NASCAR driver.
Oh,
And
wait.
yeah, and so he was the one that spoke up about all the Confederate flags in NASCAR and
Right, yeah.
made NASCAR ban Confederate
Yeah,
flags.
okay, yeah.
Which is sick. He is awesome. He is such a cool dude.
We love Bubba.
Anyway, so it's these three dudes who are just awesome. Anyway, it's called... So the way it's spelled out, I just want you to know how long I spent trying to figure out how this was pronounced. 23X and then either a lowercase l or a capital I. And so I was thinking 23XL, 2311, 23 Chi, 23. I couldn't figure it out. It is 2311, and here's why. Michael Jordan's number is 23, and then Denny Hamlin drove the number 11 car for like 10 years. So it's called 2311 because it's Denny Hamlin, and isn't it cute? It's so cute. Isn't it cute? It's really wholesome.
They gotta make it easier to read though, because that is a little confusing.
Yeah, they should have just done like 2311, like 2311, whatever. Anyway. So, it's the 23 for Michael Jordan and the 11 for the number 11 car that Hamlin drove for Joe Gibbs Racing for the past, like, several years. And speaking of, Denny Hamlin's employer, Joe Gibbs Racing, apparently 2311 is going to have a technical alliance with Joe Gibbs Racing, so they're going to guarantee use of some of their parts. So they're going to have, like, a little on-track alliance, and that's cute. And this whole venture has apparently been in the works for like a while. Like Michael Jordan has like kind of had his hands in NASCAR since 2006. So like it's been a long time coming. He invested in a team back in 2006 called the Charlotte Bobcats, which is cool because it was like an up and coming team, and they had an up-and-coming driver, Denny Hamlin, at the time, which ESPN described as NASCAR's Wunderkind in 2006. So from there, MJ and Hamlin became pretty big friends, and Hamlin was also like a big basketball fan, and he would get like courtside seats all the time. So like obviously they were like big fans of each other, and then also just close friends, and that's very wholesome.
That's so cute.
Love that for
they were
them.
just buds. So then also Michael Jordan's history with motorsport continues because from 2003 to 2013, he was the owner of a AMA superbike team called Michael Jordan Motorsport. So he also had a bike team. He was not like new to motorsports. He's apparently into that stuff. And I think one of his like fellow college basketball teammates when he was at Carolina said that like they used to throw on like NASCAR when they were like changing in the locker room, and everyone would make fun of them and be like, this is boring.
Wow.
Anyway, so he's been like in motorsports for a while, like since the early 2000s, and like his basketball buddies who are also into NASCAR and stuff like that, and like Denny Hamlin and all of his friends were begging him to like, you know, get a little more involved in NASCAR and to hopefully own a team. And he was very hesitant for a while, and him and some other, you know, black sports people have cited that NASCAR wasn't always super welcoming to them, and it just didn't really appeal to them because of the overarching culture there of you go to a NASCAR race and all the drivers are white, most of the people there are white, there's Confederate flags everywhere, you know, it's just not very welcoming, and so no one really wanted to get involved with that. But that all changed in 2020 when Bubba Wallace stepped up.
Amazing.
And asked NASCAR to ban Confederate flags, and they listened. And so that created this change, and Michael Jordan was finally like, oh, hell yeah. Now I'll jump in, now that you're not going to be actively, like, racist. I'll jump in, and I'll do that, and I'll work with my buddy Denny and my buddy Bubba, and they just made this powerhouse trio, and now they have this sick team that is it's really breaking down some boundaries, and now we have a lot more diversity in the sport, and it's really nice to see, like, you know, we can do progress. NASCAR, this is a huge win.
I really hope that their car is actually good, because it would be really sad to see them do really shitty.
Wait, how does NASCAR work? Because isn't it just like circles? Is that it?
Yeah, it's just going in circles. Don't worry about
it.
You just go in circles. That's it.
Okay.
That's the gist of it. I think, okay, here's the thing, is like, I'm probably not gonna become like a NASCAR stan, but I will be a 2311 stan.
Yeah,
I'm here for
me
them.
too. I'm here for that.
I'm not gonna watch them drive around in circles for like over an hour.
No.
But, you know, I will root for this team, and I'll say they're my favorite team, despite not watching NASCAR. I'll be that poser. I don't care. Come for me.
Too.
Anyway, but yeah, I think that's very heartwarming, and a nice big leap forward for the whole sport. So, very, very glad to hear about that. I'm not going to lie, I teared up a little bit when I was reading this ESPN article. But yeah, it's very cute.
Shannon, I was crying too when I was reading about W Series. I feel like we're hosed for equality and seeing you know, seeing the field change. We're just hosed for that.
Anytime I can see some diversity in motorsport, I'm like, oh hell yes, this is my shit.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, I didn't have anything equality diversity related, so I was sort of investigating the Rich Energy controversy once again.
Yeah, bad.
Is
always
just bad.
Terrible idea.
So not wholesome anymore. I mean, there's really nothing new. I'd much rather continue talking about, you know, fun stuff, but basically, Rich Energy, unlike Michael Jordan, who we love getting his foot in the door with motorsport, is not doing that well. Basically, Rich Energy decided that they were going to acquire or be the like title sponsor for a British superbike team, OMG Racing.
OMG Racing.
Also sound like OMG Racing also sounds kind of fake. Racing? So it's a match made in hell. Yeah, so basically they like are somehow able to be sponsoring another team despite the fact that their existence is
the
in
money
question.
Is in question.
Yeah. There is a quote from the team owner, Alan Gardner, and he said, "We are well aware of the previous controversy linked to Rich Energy. However, William Story and the team at Rich Energy have been very transparent in their business dealings to give us full confidence in our partnership to move ahead."
Sus.
Which, I don't, like, what does that mean? Does it mean that William Story and all of his sus guys came forward, told them all about the alleged money laundering, and were like, yeah, let's do it. Let's keep going.
Yeah, this is a sexy, fun idea that I like for our team. Why don't we engage in this?
Yeah.
This is fun. This is literally just...
Why not?
No.
Yeah.
Bad.
Terrible.
The fact that he even mentions that they had a conversation about, like, I just want to know what that conversation was.
Oh, to be a fly on
Like,
that
what?
wall.
Yeah.
To quote founding father Aaron Burr, I want to be in the room where that happened.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
Well.
Yeah, but it's not like MotoGP or like the World Superbike Championship or anything. It's just British Superbike.
So no real
pretty
stakes.
Minor.
No real stakes.
Not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still weird though, because they
I don't really think
they're
anybody
definitely investing money into that, but like it's just coming out of thin air. It seems like.
But what money?
Yeah.
Dun, dun,
Question
dun.
mark. Well, unfortunately, they're not actually invested in MotoGP, though. Who knows? Maybe that's what he meant by his return to motorsport or whatever. Maybe they're trying to get into MotoGP now and step it up. Yeah, MotoGP looks really cool. But they rub their knees against the track as they go around. It looks crazy.
Terrifies me.
But I'm
Looks
still
scary.
It looks so scary, but I don't know. I'm kind of interested. Also, for some reason, most of the MotoGP drivers are Spanish. Don't really know why.
Spaniards
kind
have
of
a
cool.
death wish.
Apparently.
Meryl, can you attest?
No, not really.
Are you an adrenaline junkie? Do you want to rub your knee against some pavement really hard?
Oh my god. No thanks. I'm good. No. Not for me.
I mean, yeah, they're mostly European, as is often the case. Oh, just quickly, like the way that the teams are structured is different than the like Formula One, where you have basically like 10 constructors, and then like they get like engines from other things, or there's like some like vague partnerships between teams. But the way that they have it is there are actually 6 constructors, and each constructor has either like anywhere between like 1 to 3 teams. So like Suzuki, for example, has only their like one Suzuki team, but then Ducati has 3 different Ducati MotoGP teams, which is just wild.
Wow.
But fun fact. I'll slowly learn more about MotoGP and give you a couple fun facts each
we'll
week.
just get a fact here.
Yeah, someday we'll become invested in MotoGP. Actually, you know what, Sam? Why don't you slowly get into MotoGP and I slowly get into NASCAR?
I would love to. Sounds good.
I'll sit this one out. I'm not that invested.
And now we're just a motorsport podcast.
Do we want to cover F2, F3, any of the non-F1s? No F1 this episode. F1 is
absolutely
banned.
no F1, except for the intro bit.
Yeah, except ignore the first 10 minutes.
Yeah,
or 20 minutes.
That didn't happen.
Yeah.
No, don't worry about that.
Just welcome to Box, a motorsport podcast.
Yeah.
Or a random podcast of 3 people talking about things that they don't know.
What I learned this week is...
What I learned today... yeah, I mean, I guess I haven't really gotten into... Well, I kind of got into F2, F3, like, at the last few races of last season. But it's so... I don't know. F2, they're just not as exciting, because the cars don't go as fast, and, like, not as much happens as in F1. I don't know. It's cool to see the races progress, though, and kind of know all the F2 drivers that could be going up to F1.
Yeah, that is true. I assume that's fun for the predictive sake of it.
Yeah.
But also, again, it's too many names for me. I can't do that.
Yeah, I think that's the only reason that I would be, like, interested, I think, in F2 or F3 is just to see who is, like, maybe going to be moving up. Which I'm wondering... We got a couple new drivers this year. Are we gonna keep getting as many new drivers each year?
Know.
There's not enough. There's only 20 seats.
Well, and also the other thing is, like, people are also coming from F3. Like, Max came from F3. He had like 1 season in F3, and then they were like, "Yep, you're coming to F1." So like, even if you are an F2, there's not a 100% chance that you'll get the shot at F1.
There's just
I
so
know.
many drivers.
It's so
It's,
densely populated.
There's
Yeah.
only 20 seats.
And I mean, back to the W series, that's why it's even extra hard for women to get in there, is because it's all men. It's only 20 seats. So if there's so many drivers out there and there's only 20 seats and there's a tiny percentage of women out of all of those drivers that have a shot at getting one of the 20 seats, it's just so hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard enough for, talented male
Yeah.
drivers to get in. So, it's even harder for any women. I'm just, thinking about, poor Hulkenberg, who, everybody was oh, he's gonna get a seat this year because he was doing all this stuff, and then, nothing.
Yeah. Nico Hülkenberg.
Hülkenberg.
Well, all right. I think we successfully avoided talking about F1 for most of the episode. I think that about covers it for this week.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. You can feel free to follow us on our socials. We do post only F1 content. This was a brief bit of respite in between all of our other F1 content that is just a constant deluge on your timeline. So why don't you go give us a follow to be a part of that deluge. We are at BoxBoxBox Podcast on TikTok and Instagram, and at BoxBoxBoxPod on Twitter. Give us a follow. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.